Okay, underneath the Miata, let's do the drain and fill on the transmission fluid. There is my fill plug, so I'm going to break that loose first, because if you can't get that loose and you drain your fluid, how are you going to fill it back up, right? That's been well documented. Most people know that by now, to always crack loose your fill plug first. I do notice, well, the whole thing's got like oil all over the case, so there's definitely whether it be a rear main seal or maybe the gasket at this point, because the case is in multiple pieces bolted together. So, but it could also have a very slight leak out of the fill plug. So what I'll do is I'll clean that area up, and when I get the fill plug loose, I'll get some Teflon tape, and I'll put it on the threads and then thread it back in to the threaded hole in the side of the case. So let's do that. It's a square head, so I'm just going to put a 10-inch adjustable on it. And I don't know if I can do this with one hand while holding the camera. Also take note of, this is not the actual exhaust. This is just like, they put like a heat shield kind of around the exhaust tubing. So as you can see, it's this the heat shield part is rusted out here. And on my first Miata, the 92 red Mazda Miata on my channel in old videos, this was so way worse. And I actually ended up just taking it off because it was just rusting away really bad. So this is original, and it's still in fairly decent shape, you know, relative to other Miatas. Like I said, this is a 1990. I have 92,000 miles, and the previous owner garage kept it for most of the 16 years they owned it, and now I am garage keeping it. So I'm just trying to take as good care as I can of this car. And whether it stays with me or I pass it on to the next owner, either way, I'm going to take as best care as I can. Other than that, not a whole lot of rust under here at all. So I'm very surprised and very happily surprised about that. So let me go ahead. I'm going to put the phone down for a second. I'll get back with you in the next clip. But I'm going to take this loose, and then we will go ahead and loosen our drain plug, which in my YouTube short, I stated you could either use a 15/16 socket or a 24 millimeter. 24 millimeter ended up having just a slightly more amount of play, maybe a little bit more than I like, so I'm going to use the 15/16 socket on here and break that loose after the fill plug. Okay, so both the fill plug and the drain bolt broke loose very easily, so I think that just goes to show that some good maintenance has been done on this. These have been loose at least once before, right? If they hadn't been touched in 33 years, I figure they would be near impossible to get out. But let me push that light over just in case that's messing up the video. But good news on that front. So I will go ahead and drain the fluid, see how much comes out, and here we go. Oh yeah, that was definitely time for a change. It's looking milky brown there. I got the new fluid up on the workbench. I do appear to have a crush washer, so I'll clean that up and inspect. Might have a slight groove wear mark in it, but I'll check it out. And then we'll go from there. And like I said, I don't know if I can get you up in there where the fill plug area is. No, the exhaust is in the way. But threads still look good in the casing, so I'll just wipe that area around it. And like I said, I'll put some Teflon on my drain plug here. And I thought this bit was a magnet, but I touched it to my steel adjustable. It's actually not magnetic, so oh well, you know, maybe they probably put a magnetic fill plug on future Miatas, maybe on 2nd gen, 3rd gen, 4th gen, somewhere along the lines. Hopefully they did. And you can see I cleaned this area, but the rest of it I'm gonna have to brake clean and wipe down. But eventually, like I said, all of these gaskets are leaking. throughout the engine transmission. So eventually, like I may just say screw it, go over the whole thing. I wonder if I gotta pull the motor and trans to be able to actually reach all this stuff because it's so tight space in the car with any car. All right, I'm gonna set you down while I'm falling asleep. So good news, at least the drain plug is magnetic, and that makes more sense over the fill plug because the fill plug is a little up higher on the side of the transmission casing. The drain plug's at the bottom, and any metal shavings will travel down to the bottom eventually by gravity. And as you can see, it's not really coming across in video. It does have some, it definitely has a magnetic pull on these bits that I've been able to scrape off with my glove. It's hard to tell. It feels a little metally, but I mean the car shifts fine. I don't know if that's just a normal amount for the mileage. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's definitely a magnet in there. I mean the fluid looked, you know, dark. Didn't look metally coming out, but there's definitely some bits collected in here. Like I said, I don't know if that's a normal amount for 92,000 miles. And I'll have to go, I still need to go through the service records and the service history because I was given that by the previous owner. And I can tell you exactly what kind of maintenance has been done on this car. But, so yeah, you let me know in the comments. I'm just trying to document all this, trying to keep it as honest and open as possible so that way if I do ever decide to sell the car, you know exactly what's been done to it and you can feel confident in buying a 33-year-old car or at whatever year I sell it at, if I do sell it. So just in case. And I enjoy making the videos too, and you all can watch along as I work on my own cars. All right, drain plug is cleaned up. I scratched the very lightly at the side of the. Who is that? Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so as I was saying, I put some scratch very lightly on the side that had what I thought were grooves, but they're very surface level. You don't go any deeper than that. The other side's good. And I'll put some Teflon tape on the fill plug. Okay, so we're gonna use the. I already opened it, so I don't want to spill it out. We're gonna put in the Equitorque friction modifier in to the transmission first because there's a older guy working at the local Mazda dealership. He's the one that told me about this. You can also put it in the differential. And then of course I spilled a little bit. Rip. All right on my tool bag. So it already comes with like a little spout that sticks out. I just took a razor blade, my little Husky razor box cutter, cut the tab off, or the tip off. Oh, I need a lift. I need a lift. Okay. Not like a LYFT, like a ride. I need a car lift. So I can actually get going. And get this, ooh, the exhaust is in the way. It's gonna be tricky. How did I do this on the 92? Because I have a video where, well, I didn't show it on the video, but I definitely, you know, I don't know. Because I needed to take a 90-degree turn to get into the transmission. And the exhaust, of course, is right in the way. Okay, I'm getting a better angle. Just trying not to spill any. It's right there. Okay, got it. Okay, we're in. Okay, now I'm just gonna squeeze it in. And of course I did put my drain plug back in and tighten it up. got 4 ounces. Burping it like feeding a baby. Feed the baby the formula. So we'll put all this in there. A little friction modifier, and then after this, I'll pump in the new transmission fluid with my transfer pump. It's a basic transfer pump from Advanced Auto Parts. I actually was at Advanced Auto Parts today getting some brake pads for the work truck. I saw the exact same transfer pump, the same red one from PT brand, Performance Tool brand. They still sell the exact same model. I think they would have made a little bit of a nicer one, but I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as the old adage goes. So when we take that out, that's empty. Where's my rag? Where is, oh, there it is. Oh, I guess even if I can't get a lift, I at least need a creeper. I mean, a lift is not going to fit in this garage. Don't get me wrong, I don't have any illusions about that. But one day if I ever own another property that has multiple garage, like a 3-car garage or something, I gotta get a lift to work on these cars. Okay, let me get the transfer pump, set it up, and then we'll start pumping in the fluid. And actually, while I have you on this clip, let's crawl out. I want to show you the fluid I'm putting in. Oh, and I found some Teflon tape for the fill plug. It looks like that, and the way you want to wrap it is you want to wrap it around the threads, and then when you rip the piece off, when you go to righty-tighty, that piece that you ripped off, you want it to kind of go against your righty-tighty, so it kind of folds over nicely and doesn't have a chance to kind of unravel itself as you're going righty-tighty. But more on that in a little bit. So we're going to go with the Mobile One. Ooh, this is synthetic. I was reading something online today about don't do synthetic. That was on, was that on Mustangs? Yeah, I was on some Mustang forum and people were talking about that. This is the one I used on the red Miata. It was Mazda brand, manual transaxle oil lubricant. But when I went there to the dealership just a month or two ago, they didn't have it. The only thing they had was Krispy Kreme donuts in the showroom. You know, I'll take a donut, but I'm not going to buy a new car. So I still have a slight amount left in each container, so I'll probably use that whatever I have here for the shifter fluid, because the shifter fluid is a separate reservoir that you get to through the interior of the car, take apart the shifter and the assembly. So I'll start with this one, and it does have a little tab, but I'm just going to take off the whole top. We got a peel and lift like you would on a container of orange juice. Oh, there we go. And that's the new fluid. Probably can't even see it. Yeah, a little bit. Looks kind of golden. Smells terrible already. The differential fluid smells even worse, I can guarantee that. They're actually pretty close in their numbers. 75W90 versus 80W90, so almost interchangeable. But I'm going to grab this. I'll stage it here. And I'll grab my transfer pump, which I haven't used since the red Miata drain and fill video, which I think was about 5 years ago, almost now. And so basically, I always am unsure which side is which. Wow, really? There's still fluid in there. I just made a mess. That's just how it goes, isn't it? So I think, is it going to pump it out the bottom through the top? Is the top the discharge and this is the suction side? I don't know if I can read the instructions without spilling any more oil on the floor. But I know this is oil is the same oil or same tranny fluid, so it's I'm not worried about them getting slightly mixed in the red lines. So I'm gonna just have to set you down and try to figure this out, because I definitely can't do this with the phone. But basically I'm going to just pump the fluid into the fill plug area. And once the fluid starts to dribble out of the fill hole, that's when I know I'm good to go. Okay, phone's on low battery, but as I endeavored to show you, I don't want to waste any fluid, but fluid did come anymore. I wasted a tiny bit, but fluid came out of this end. If you trace that back, the discharge side is the bottom of my particular transfer pump, and the top is the suction side. As you can see, traces out to the bottle that I'm sucking the fluid from. And just beware that line is slightly kinked, so I'm gonna have to work that out. But I don't want the line to fling out of the tube as it just did a second ago. A little bit more fluid on the ground. It's just a messy job no matter how you slice it. So just be careful, trying to lose too much fluid. And let me pump it in. Phone's about to die, so I'm gonna get with you after I pump the fluid in. Okay, got the phone plugged into a charger, so of course. Is that one plug not working? That's a rip. Okay, we're just gonna have to record this quickly. So, no freaking room. So I have the discharge side of the transfer pump line into the fill plug, and keep in mind I went above the exhaust, around the exhaust, because if I went in right here, if I went on the other side of the exhaust and just went in, I would have kinked the line trying to take a 90 in there. So if you have a Miata and you're doing this job, go above the exhaust, in between the frame and the exhaust. That way you can have a straight shot. You won't kink the line. The other, the suction line is into the bottom of my tranny fluid quart. And I'm looking at the level as I pump it. I'm down about a third of the way, maybe halfway, and I'm gonna keep going till I get to the bottom. There'll probably be a little bit left, which will be great for me, so I can use that for the shifter fluid, like I said. I'll do the second quart, and then fluid will start to dribble out of the bottom of the open fill plug hole. And then I know I'm good to go, and then I can put some Teflon tape on the fill plug, tighten it up, and be good to go. So this is why mechanics curse, because just absolute nonsense. You can see some of the fluid fell on the ground because the where the hell am I? Discharge line just blew right off, just out of nowhere, just came right off the connection. You're supposed to, it actually sits all the way up in here, and I guess this piece kind of holds it on, but it just flew right off. It's like, seriously? So, made a huge mess, but let's take you all the way back here. And I gotta remember to turn that light off, otherwise you can't see a thing on the video. But you see that translucent line of fluid coming out of the fill plug? We did it, just barely. I'll take it. Another job. Not well done, but done good enough. Yeah, it's just gonna be the pain in the butt when you mess with these transfer pumps. So if you have a better one, by all means use that. Hopefully you have a better setup than I do, but it's frustrating when it just, you know, you gotta worry about the line just flying off one end of the transfer pump. You spill a bunch of fluid, and then, because this transmission takes, I think it's 1.9, or it's like right on 2.0 quarts. So if you lose any fluid, you're gonna be very close. You may need to have a little bit more. So thankfully I just made it. And I have a tiny bit left in both the bottom of both quarts, because, you know, obviously when you put the suction side line in, it's gonna try to soak up as much as it can, but it's ultimately always gonna leave a little bit of fluid in any container. So I'll just probably combine the two containers, and then I'll have that for the shifter fluid, plus the two on the bench. Okay, so now I'm gonna put some Teflon around my fill plug and screw that back in, and then go take it for a test drive. Okay, so I put some Teflon tape around the fill plug, and as you can see, it sits in between each thread, so it's not hard to thread back on. Just obviously don't put way too much. Don't put like 10 layers. And then I rip the end off of the roll, and I and folding it over onto the last bit. And as you can see, because of the way I wound it, as I go to tighten it, it'll actually keep the Teflon together, and it won't. Because if I ripped it off going the other way or wound it the other way, then you risk you know, having that Teflon kind of unwinding on you a little bit. So as you tighten the fill plug, you want the Teflon to stay nice and tight around the threads. And you just have less chance of leaks that way. So let me go put this in, and that'll be it.